How's it going, everybody? Going to talk about the bench press and 3 common problems and obstacles with the bench press. But before that, I want to plug my other channel real quick. I did a little review on these headphones. They're $30. Bluetooth wireless headphones on Active Tech Review, another channel of mine. So be sure to take a look right here, which I'll have a link, or check the link in the description, or you can watch it afterwards if you are into that kind of thing. But let's get on with the video. 3 obstacles on the bench press, or at least the way I see it. There's pain, there's technique, and then there's sticking point. Sticking point seems to be very common. You look at stuff like floor presses to help lock out, board presses for lockout, overloading with using the slingshot or board presses or whatnot. And the idea is to be able to tolerate more weight. And it seems to be for those kinds of movements, you really have to, basically you're learning to grind. You're trying to learn how to grind reps out, learning how to get your nervous system to tolerate more weight. But it seems as though, depending on what kind of lifter you are, what your previous background is, what your talents are, and your strengths and weaknesses as a lifter, it seems to be that speed is a big factor. We know this. I know myself not to be very fast. I'm a very slow lifter. It's just kind of my abilities. I won't say I'm the best at grinding weights, so I have definitely a ton of room for improvement, but speed is a big factor. So in the case of the bench, if you're having a challenge with benching and getting stuck somewhere because of pain or technique or sticking points, you got to work on all avenues of the bench. I'm sure you've heard this a lot, work on your triceps, work on different lockouts, stuff like that. But I think what's really important is that you have to do a variety. Touch and go, paused, long pause, short paused, close grip, wide grip, dumbbell presses, incline bench, dumbbell incline. You got to do a variety of muscle groups so that you can train your body to be just overall strong. One of the biggest mistakes I made last year, and I do it a lot, it's bad. It's just I get too obsessed with the technique for the particular bench or for my competition lift, that pause bench to get the maximum amount of weight. And the problem with that is that you really, although you get better at the technique for the competition, for sports specifics, you don't really build your work capacity, you don't build your joints up, you don't build your body in a way that allows for longevity, allows for a consistent strength base, because my bench press has been up and down all over the place. I'll be benching 295 for a single, and then I remember I got as good as benching 275 for a double, and 275 for 3 sets of 5, and that was like almost 2 years ago before I really got into deadlifting. And I don't even understand that, because I don't even know how I did that. It's crazy. I remember being able to overhead press 175 for like triples, and I can't even imagine that now. And I think a big part of it was the reason why I was so strong before. That's when I was strong before I really got into like deadlifting and lower body powerlifting. I found that the reason why that occurred, or my opinion right now, is that I spent too much time on technique for competition and didn't work on building the body as a whole, or work on like the bodybuilding type stuff for the higher reps, the more volume. And it's sort of a bad habit, because you get so that instant gratification, wanting to be able to get instant results week to week. You make progress in how much weight you lift, but in truth, you get stronger for that specific thing, which is maximal lift, but you get weaker in your capacity, you get weaker in your reps, and you get weaker in your ability to tolerate more volume. And then, of course, the last thing I'll talk about is pain. Touch on it briefly, and it's always going to be a challenge. I made a video about it. You guys probably seen it already on shoulder pain. I'll leave a link in the description if you haven't seen it yet. But I'll tell you right now that you just have to work through some of the pain. Mess with your hand position, make it closer, make it wider. If you're having trouble with the elbows and the forearms because of elbow pain, then that means you're having a little bit overuse. That means too much frequency and too much intensity, or too much frequency for sure. Intensity might not always be the case. When it's shoulder impingement, I think you just got to work through that. I think that it's not always good. I think, in my opinion right now, it's not really great to work through a ton of elbow pain and like forearm pain, related pain with the bench press. It's just not. That's usually a sign of overuse. Whereas in shoulder impingement is more of a posture, mechanical. Sometimes overused. Don't get me wrong, but the shoulder is a pretty sophisticated machine, a sophisticated joint, and as long as you can change your hand position and shoulder position on the bench to minimize the problems, then working through some shoulder impingement is okay. Whereas with elbow pain, typically tends to be more overuse related, especially if you do a lot of heavy deadlifting and then you don't use straps and you're freaking killing it, and then you're benching the next day. That can definitely wear on you. So those are some thoughts, 3 obstacles on the bench. Click like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And tell me your bench woes. Why do you hate the bench press? If you do hate the bench, and if you love the bench press, I'd love to hear why, because I need to find a way to love it. Because if I love it, I know I'll get better. See you guys.